Without further ado, before Attorney General Merrick Garland openly remarked on the FBI search at Mar-A-Lago, an individual close to Donald Trump purportedly contacted the Department of Justice to convey a message from the previous president. The New York Times announced that partner believed Garland should realize the pursuit had infuriated the previous president's allies, and Trump needed to know how he could diminish the intensity. Yet MSNBC journalist Steve Beenan said the significance behind that proposition was coming into center. The message was definitely not an express danger, fundamentally. However, Trump needed the head legal officer to realize that, taking everything into account, the country was insulted by the execution of a court-supported court order, Beenan encompassed. Trump was evidently worried about the results of the intensity and strain. Those concerns were clearly questionable, as indicated by Beenan, in light of the fact that Trump had stirred up that outrage himself by erupting fiercely against policing the hunt, and his assaults on examiners have just deteriorated since Garland remarked working on this issue. But at the same time, we should not miss the woodland for the trees. Confronting a strengthening government examination, and only days after the FBI executed a court order at one of his properties, Trump thought it'd be really smart to convey a message to the principal legal officer with a dismal advance notice about rising intensity and strain developing, Beenan encompassed. That is not in light of cases from anonymous sources that occurred by the previous president's own court documenting. There's been a surge of data lately about Donald Trump, the characterized materials he took to Mar-A-Lago, the National Archives, and the Justice Department's examination. However, there was one ongoing insight regarding Attorney General Merrick Garland that justified some development. As per a New York Times report distributed 14 days prior, without further ado, previously Garland conveyed public comments on the contention, declared plans to unlock the warrant connected with the previous president's Florida property. An individual near Mr. Trump contacted a Justice Department official to pass along a message from the previous president to the principal legal officer. The Times added that the Republican needed the principal legal officer to realize that FBI's pursuit had incensed the country, and Trump needed to understand what he could do to diminish the intensity. I had many inquiries regarding this, some of which, strangely, were addressed for the current week by Trump himself. On Monday, the previous president and his legal counselors requested an adjudicator to arrange the arrangement from an extraordinary expert to direct the treatment of the reports seized at Mar-A-Lago. However, as a feature of the court documenting, Team Trump likewise shed a few light on occasions that occurred in the background. As per the previous president's own form of occasions, on August 11, 14 days prior today, one of Trump's legal counselors had a telephone discussion with Jay Bratt, the head of the counter-espionage part of the Public Safety Division of the Justice Department, who'd been engaged with the examination. The current week's court recording added that the main thing of conversation was a message Trump needed to pass on to the country's central policing. All things considered, the situation portrayed in the documenting barely helps the previous president. Festoon conveyed public comments on August 11. As per Team Trump's form of occasions, that very day, before the principal legal officer talked, the Republican had one of his legal counselors convey a message to a top Justice Department official with the assumption that it would be passed on to straightforwardly